These people call Hindus with false information. And all they learn is to attack. And today, what I face is just attack. If I go to school, I get attacked by Hindus. I don't get attacked by Buddhists here in Nepal. I don't get attacked by Muslims here in Nepal. But I get attacked by Hindus. I don't understand what is running in their mind. I get attacked by, even a minor Hindu. If I walk in the community, if I walk in the society, I don't understand what's running in their mind. Maybe you are in America, you are in some European countries, and you're wondering what's happening in Nepal. And sometimes you get to hear news and read news in Christian Post and the Guardian about the various kind of accusations that have been put upon the various kind of pastors and Christian leaders, and they have been sentenced to prison. But why are all these activities so easy in Nepal? Why do you think these kind of activities are easy in Nepal, in Nigeria? Do you know that the Asian countries and African countries are the places where Christians suffer a lot? Even in the Middle East countries, they suffer a lot because most of the people in these regions are either Hindus or Muslims. That's why the people of Christian religion, they suffer a lot because they are under the minority groups. But recently we have read some sort of news, maybe in the online portal, some of the pastor got arrested because what he did was he rebuked coronavirus in the name of Lord Jesus Christ. He spoke in tongues and he used a handkerchief to drive out some sort of diseases, and it was captured in the media. And then later on, various kind of Hindu public, they started complaining, and then they filed a case against this pastor. How well do you think that a Hindu people have a right to file a case against this pastor? He wasn't even addressing to the Hindu audience. He was actually addressing to the Christian audience. Why are the Hindu audience, for whom this service was not meant for whom this Christian practices were not meant for, why are they so bothered about this kind of practices, especially during the time of coronavirus? So you see, Nepal may be a country that has not been suffering from coronavirus, but somehow down the line, Nepal is suffering from other kind of human degrading catastrophes, especially when it comes to a caste system of Hinduism, Brahminism of Hinduism, where there is some sort of hierarchy because the Brahmins, they want to occupy the most highest level post, whether it's religion or in politics or in business or in any other organizations. So from all the sides, you see, they just think that Christians need to be persecuted. They think that Christians are some sort of hindrances against the upliftment of Brahmins in the country, upliftment of the Hinduism in the country. They think that Christianity is some sort of business, some sort of strategy, some sort of game plan of European countries, American countries, and some people from South Koreans. They think that Nepali Christians are influenced by these people from Korea or America or European countries. And they think that Christianity is a religion of white. And why are they persecuting Nepali Christians? One of the main reasons is because they are always influenced with the history of India. You know that India suffered a lot because of the rule of British. The rule of British was a political campaign. It was a financial campaign. It was an economic strategy of the Britain to extend its syndicate and to open a company and to do business in all around the country. Even in South Asia, it wanted to operate the business through British India Company. That was the sole strategy of British India, or the Britain strategy. But the Christianity was actually not the agenda. When the Christian missionaries, they came to serve the Indians, because Indians were suffering a lot. They were lacking education, they were diseased, they had a lot of practices that were influenced with myth. They had the habit of sacrificing the babies, throwing the babies in the rivers. They had the practice of burning the women in the funeral pyres, and all of these terrible practices were happening in India. White supremacy was ruling over the India, and somehow India got a chance to influence Nepal and always convince them that if Christians enter into your country, then they will enslave you like they did to Indians in the past. That's some sort of advantage of why Hinduism is always getting better chances in Nepal. And Hinduism has always advanced in Nepal. Just imagine that Hindu actually is a religion that is spreaded all the way from Indus Valley civilization. It doesn't even belong to India. But the India claims that the Hinduism belongs to them. So you see what has happened in this country is India has never been claimed as a Hindu nation. But it's a secular state, a secular nation. But Nepal, it claimed itself even as Hindu nation. So you see the influence of India in Nepal, the propaganda of Indians that they put upon the politicians of Nepal, and even in the life, and they dictate what Nepali kings, what Nepali leaders have to do. And they always want Nepalese to be enslaved to this Indian occupation, Indian culture, Indian spirituality. You might have heard about various kind of propaganda that was set by the Indian gurus in India to influence the European and the Western nations. You see the lot of gurus that traveled all the way from India to America, to Europe and many other countries just to influence the Hinduism into your country. And that was just a partial and a very full time a propaganda of India. And now you see a lot of yoga is being practiced, lots of Hare Krishna movement in your country, because your country is a country where you have this secularism, where you have this religious freedom. But that's not the case when it comes to India and Nepal. The religious freedom, the religious tolerance is just a matter of show off. It's a hypocrisy. It's just in the papers, but it never gets executed. That's why you have these hundreds and thousands and millions of Christians always have been persecuted in Middle East, in the Asian countries, in South Asian countries like this. And even in the North Asian countries like China, you always see that Christians are being persecuted. And they are always made as a target, because in the past, they always imagined the Christianity as a religion of a white people. So, when they think that Nepali converts into a Christianity, they think that they are supporting the white people, which is actually not true. When a person actually becomes a Christian, he becomes a Christian because he is actually wanting to change his life. He is wanting to change his religion because he has that faith in Jesus Christ. It's just about Jesus Christ and the person. It's not about politics. It's not about economic stuff. It's not about many other those kind of stuff that the Hindus blame upon the Christians that is converting in Nepal. There are a lot of factors why people converted even in the Western region. You know that America was not a Christianity country. You know that Europe in the past wasn't a Christian country. It actually got converted into a Christianity. We all know the history that the ancestors of Europeans and the Americans, they were all idol worshippers. You know the history about Rome. They were idol worshippers. They were persecuting Christians in the past, but then later on the Roman Emperor Constantine, he changed the religion of our country. We all know the history. And the religion that got spreaded all the way from Israel, it actually ultimately got spreaded in all around the world. And if you look in the past, you know that the disciples were very poor. The apostles were very poor. I mean, they did not have anything. They had left their houses, they had left their family members. All they had there was a teaching of Jesus Christ, and they traveled from one place to another place. And due to that fact, people started believing them. But I don't understand why the Hindus in Nepal and India, they are unable to believe all of this stuff. Even if a Christian who do not have a wealth, who do not have a lot of riches, if he just listens to the teaching of Lord Jesus Christ and if he starts practicing in the society, ultimately the society is got to get converted because there is an influence in the society. So these are some of the factors that the Hindus in Nepal and India have not been able to understand. My question to Hindus in Nepal and in India is, why do you think that Christians are after dollars? May I ask you some more questions? Who are the people who earn dollars? Means if you see the top billionaires in India or some of the wealthiest people in Nepal, they transact most of the wealth in terms of dollars. they want to do business in abroad countries to earn dollars. If you see the travel agencies in Nepal, if you see the trekking agencies in Nepal, if you see the hotel business in Nepal, it's all for dollars. And even if you see the Hindus temple, I mean, if you also will accept the dollars if any foreigners want to offer money to you. So why do you blame Christians for earning a dollar? Because there are a lot of NRN people, there are a lot of people from Himalayan region, they go to abroad countries, especially for America and Western Europe, they earn euros and dollars. Are they all Christians? Do you even have a common sense to understand that everybody needs money to run their life? Because it's a means of buying, it's a means of exchange. And you know the history of cash, right? The paper money. It's not even so far. The history is not even so old. So you need that means of exchange. The barter system is not working anymore in the world. So you need to buy things. Okay? So it's only about money. It's not about rupees, it's not about yen. It's about money. So whether you earn money in terms of Japanese currency, in terms of Indian currency, in terms of Middle East nations currencies, in terms of European nation currency, it doesn't matter at all. After all, it's all down to money. It's all down to a currency. So it's putting blame on the people for dollars and paisa and pesos. It's just an excuse for you to persecute Christians in the country. There's no other reason for you to persecute Christians, because now the priests in the India and priests in Nepal and Hindu people here are filled with faith. They feel some sort of risks, because you think that now you are going to lose your position in the country. You are going to lose a supremacy in the country. If you are a really good person, you are never going to lose a supremacy in the country. If you are a good Hindu, if you know how to run the society without any violence, then ultimately you are going to rule the nation. But if you are going to be a violent person, if your religion is going to be a violent, your nation is never going to be a Hindu nation. Even if a nation becomes a nation that is filled with lots of Hindu people, and even if you have a Hindu constitution, even if you have a Hindu state, the problem is you will have the Hindu rules and regulations that even the people who do not like the rules and regulations have to obey, and they will not obey that until there is some sort of reformation in your religion. So you see there are lots of caste system in your religion. You see there is so much of practices in your religion. You see there is so much of idol worship in your religion. There's so much of chanting mantras in your religion. There's so much of sophistication in your religion, where most of the youths may not even like chanting them, may not even like the caste system, because all you have is a classification based on the birth that is based on a caste system, which is actually based upon the religion of Hinduism that got spreaded all the way from Indus Valley civilization to India and in Nepal and most of the South Asian countries. And you know the pathetic situations in India. Most of the times you find out that the Hindus are persecuting both Muslims and Dalits and many other people. And even if they persecute Christians in India, it's actually the people from the lower caste. They actually persecute the Dalit Christians in India. And most of the times it's likely the same here in Nepal. You go to rural areas, and what you do is you try to track out where the people are preaching, because in the rural areas, the pastors are very innocent, the believers are very innocent, and you try to capture them. These are some of the ways that Nepalese or Indians, they try to trap Christians. I tell you how they trap the Christians. Sometimes what has happened in Nepal is that some of the Hindus, they make a call to a Christian pastor telling, oh, I'm here, really, really sick. Can you come and heal me? I'm suffering from some kind of demon possessions. Can you come and pray for me? So when pastor goes and pray for her or him, they accuse the pastor of trying to preach them a gospel. They accuse the pastor, doing some sort of fake healing miracles despite their request. I don't understand why authority in Nepal, do not understand the person who makes a phone call is a culprit here, and it's not the pastor, it's not the priest who is the main culprit in this situation. But still, you see the backdrop of this various kind of rules and regulations and the constitution here in Nepal. They may be legal, but they are not ethical. They may be legal, but they are not justifiable. So you see, it's just one-way judgment. Most of the time, it's always about Christians. A previous year, what happened in Nepal was one priest, his name was Srinivas. He was shot by a gun. The rumor was that the Christians were behind shooting a gun towards this priest, and he was hospitalized. And then later on, when there was probe going on, investigation going on, they found out that it was the guard of the priest who had actually, shot a gun at this person. And the guard has done that in the instruction of the same priest, Mr. Srinivas. So you see, they are even ready to do such kind of criminal activities here in Nepal. You can see this madness going on here in Nepal. And there are these social organizations, there are many of such kind of community activities that these Hindus are organizing against Christians. What they do is they organize meetings, they start operating some sort of social media groups, Facebook pages, and they have some sort of YouTube channels. All they do is nothing other than communicate against Christianity. And all bullshits, you find it in those groups. All they do is they just distort the teachings of Christianity. All they do is they try to collect all the news coverages that is happening against the Christianity around the world to various kind of news portals. They do that snapshot, or they share the link in their groups, and they just miscommunicate with the members, saying that the Christians did this bad thing. The pastors tried to pray over the coronavirus affected person, and he was not healed, and he was caught by the authorities. Recently, I received some sort of threat from some of the Hindu youths. They continuously message me. They call me in the messenger, and they threaten me not to speak against what they are doing, not to expose what they are teaching to their students. And Hindu gurus, they always distort, and they always try to claim everything for Hinduism. For example, they claim that their civilization is the first civilization. I mean, they are supreming in everything. Everything that was discovered in the world was just because of them. It's just because of Hinduism. It's just because of Indus Valley civilization. It's just because of this Brahmin people and Kshatriya people. It's just a total nonsense, and everybody knows that. And the innocent people who do not actually investigate, they just listen to this kind of people who speak out of knowledge. All of this illogical stuff, all of this brainstorming with the false information is what is getting exposed to this kind of youths in Nepal. So youth, you find out that they are filled with jealousy, they are filled with an anger, they are filled with taking revenge against Christians. And usually the person like me always gets some sort of messages, some sorts of phone call threatening not to speak. It's just such an a shameful thing that is happening in this country. This country claims that it's a secular country, but then it's just in the paper. It has never been executed. There's always partiality. There's always favoritism in this country. Most of the Hindus, they claim that Christianity is a religion that are followed by a menial people in this country, like people with Dalits, a low caste person, the people who do not have lots of opportunities, discarded people in the society, So they think that this is a religion followed by this sort of people. But that is also not fact, because they have not researched, they have not found out that there are a lot of high caste people from the religion who got converted into a Christianity. And they are leaders, So this is a really grim reality even when Corona is happening in this country. The Hindus are busy trying to orchestrate some sort of strategy to trap some Christians in the country. And when they do not find anyone to trap, they purposefully try to trap the people. They try to track the churches, they try to track the pastors, they try to track young people like me, what I write on the Facebook, what I write on my group, what I teach to my fellow friends, what I talk in my YouTube videos. All of these things they always keep track, and they try to trap me. They try to always find fault so that they can imprison us. And that's a shocking reality that is happening in this Nepal even at the time of coronavirus. Now there are a lot of nonsense and activities happening by non-Christians in this country. You find that there are witch doctors, who just try to forecast things, like trying to heal the sick people, just playing the drums. There are Hindus, advising people to consume a cow dung and drink a urine to get healed of coronavirus. Some people, they try to just play a musical instrument, a traditional musical instrument, and claim that the coronavirus will hear the voice of this traditional instrument and will fly away, because that traditional instrument belongs to Hinduism. And there are some astrologers here in this country who try to forecast, who try to tell the people that the virus won't be touching them. Why is this sort of partiality in this country? Recently, one pastor, after he was caught, there was this comedian in the media who made a lot of mocking out of this person. He not only mocked at this person, but he, instead of doing a genuine comedy, what he was doing was he was even putting judgment upon this person. He was casting his anger upon this person, which actually is not good for a comedian to do. A comedian must be a comedian in an entertainment sector, but this guy wasn't a comedian at that moment. What he did was he tried to pass on the information, like not to listen to Christians, not to believe on them, and he put some judgmental words. And what he did was he showed his anger, and he just overacted while he was doing this sort of comedy. And we have some people who try to forgive him, who try to just not to file a case against him. So we have this media, we have the authority, we have a neighboring country who doesn't support secularism. It's just a lip service, it's just a paperwork. But it's all about Hinduism in this country. And that's why a country like Nepal and India will never go forward. There were a lot of reforms that happened in India because most of the Christian missionaries, they contributed to open the eyes of these gurus, not to burn their babies. As one of the simple example, not to burn their wives on the funeral pyre, one of the simple examples. That's why a person from Nepal, a person from India, most of them, they want to travel to UK, they want to come to Australia, they want to come to Germany, they want to come to America, they want to come to European countries, or at least some of the South Asian countries like Malaysia, or like Philippines, Singapore, or North Asian countries like Japan or Korea or China. Maybe we don't like staying in our countries because we want to earn money, and until and unless we have this hegemony of Brahminism, this country will never have this economic stability in the country. Because you see, the politicians all are Brahmins, and what they do is they always advocate their religion. When there are some sort of persecution happening in the country, they cannot address it because majority of the population in Nepal are Hindus. It's claimed that about 80% of the people in Nepal are Hindus. So we have this backwardness, so it's never going to go forward because it has never adopted the technology, it has never adopted the science, it has never adopted the literature, it has never adopted the reformation, it has never adopted the developmental strategy that many other countries are following. Just imagine Israel. They gathered together, Look at now, they have their own development system. It's called Israel Development Model. It's a place where startups of every technology is happening. It's a place where agricultural revolution is taking place. It's a place where there are Muslims and Christians, but they try to live together with a religious tolerance. It's a country that is desertified, but then you see the agriculture, the sedimentation, water filtration that is in this country. And this country is making a lot of difference around the world. And we have arms and ammunition in Nepal supplied by Israel. As you know that Israel has been one of the most intelligent countries in making weapons. And we have this Nepalese, depending on Israel for the arms and ammunitions, besides learning the agriculture from Israel. So you see the backwardness of Nepali people. The Indians, these were the countries that, where education came first, then Israel. Where they did not need to fight so long for independence like Israel had, the Jews had to confront against the Hitler and Nazis, the Christians in the European countries. And still you see that the position of Jews today is so respectable. And we have here in Nepal where we have this backwardness, where they want to have this hegemony of Brahmanism, this Hinduism in the present context, trying to take over the people who really want to believe on different faith, who want to embrace the human rights. If you look in the past, in the 17th century, what has happened is there was one king. Now actually he's recognized as one of the person who unified this country. These guys, they came all the way from India because at that time Indians were always being attacked by the Muslims in the Middle East. So when they came to Nepal, all they learned was to attack the people who were already in Nepal. So they attacked and attacked because some of the region were very rich. So they wanted this wealth. And this king, what he did was he started persecuting Christians of that time. And for about almost some 150 years, something like that, the Christians were not even allowed to come into this country. But then later on, when Christians started entering into this country, the education started getting flourished, the health institution started getting flourished, the modernization started getting flourished here in this country. There are some of the hospitals in this country still today that was contributed by Christians. We have some schools, colleges contributed by Christians. What amazes me is that these Hindus, they never try to learn from the history. They never try to learn from what really happened, and they don't try to seek out facts, because majority of the people are Hindus. They came from India. They were persecuted people because what happened was the Muslims, they attacked them, and these guys were persecuted guys, and when they came to Nepal, all they learned was to persecute other Nepali guys, kill them, assassinate them, and somehow reach that top level of the post. All they learned was this matter, because in the beginning, all of the ancestors of these people, they were persecuted from the Muslims in India. So we have this really, really grim reality here in Nepal. There are some of the structures that they converted into Hindu structures. They try to convert many people into Hinduism. Like there were some indigenous people, there were some really, really marginalized people, and there were some people living still in the forests. All they did was nothing but they tried to convert their religion. And today we have even those people following the religion of Hinduism, not fully but partially. They follow their own religion, they follow Hinduism, and you know what? Even Hinduism in Nepal is mixed. You wonder what are the culture of Nepalese, when you come to Nepal. Many claim that it's about Hinduism, but when I observe them, I don't see Hinduism in practice. A totally different religion from India. You see, they have their original culture. They worship their ancestors. All of these activities are happening even in the rural areas, and they don't stop worshipping their ancestors. I mean, look at who worship ancestors. The people from Vietnam, the people from North Korea, the people from Japan, the people from India, the people from South Asian countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines. The indigenous tribes, they worship their ancestors, and the culture, the house structure also doesn't match up If you look at the house structure, it all goes back to the people of China or Vietnam. I don't understand why the Nepalese people don't understand and they don't observe. Are they even really Hindus, or they just converted themselves? Even the caste system that was introduced in Nepal is not so old, just not even 300 years old. The caste system in Nepal that was introduced to overall Nepalese is not even 300 years old. And they are so proud of their religion. It's just because they do not know their religion, they just do not know the history. And all the leaders, what they try to do is they try to wipe out the history and they try to brainwash these students. If you look in the society, what they do is nothing. They just have a tree. They try to start worshipping a tree. And now that is a temple for them. I cannot even go and sit under that tree. I don't understand what's happening to Nepali people. I mean, what's happening to people who are not even Hindus, and now they want to become a radical Hindus, who don't even know Hinduism. If you look at some of the, most of the Hindus here in Nepal, they actually do not know Hinduism. They have never read the scriptures. They've just heard some portion of it, but they have never read the scriptures. And most of them, they don't even live by their scriptures, They do not know their characters. They just heard some of their deities, and it's like, some of them are confused. It's just a matter of trying to telling them, and do you know your scripture? You just ask them a question. They just don't know it. Because Hinduism do not have any standard text, And the disciples are confused. They do not know what religious scriptures to read. Because everything that Hinduism come up, they just try to make it a religion after it. A month ago or 2 months ago, Donald Trump had traveled to India, and there was some people who started worshipping Donald Trump. So these are the scenarios here in Nepal and India. You never know what type of new god will they start worshipping, and they think they are Hindus. And my simple question is, why do you start worshipping Donald Trump as a new god? Or why do you try to worship Gautam Buddha as a new god? Or why do you try to worship Jesus Christ as a new god when they are not even in your scriptures? Just a simple question. They don't even know how to answer it, because they do whatever they feel like. They want to do whatever they like. And we have some sort of religious festivals that are totally different from the religious festivals of India, though the names are same. It doesn't even match up because our cultures are different. And we have some tribes in rural areas and in the city areas, they have their own festivals. That festivals are not even Hindu festivals. From where some sort of celebration started happening. But then it was just put on the people and forced on the people to practice it. So what happened? Today we have this kind of people persecuting us, who do not know about their religion, who do not know about the text, who do not know about the history. These kind of people are here in Nepal to persecute Christians, to probe on the Christian. My question to them is, why don't you go in the society and discipline your own religious group? There are a lot of rapes happening in the many kind of regions because of your followers. Why don't you go and just, discipline them? Why don't you go and track them out? Why don't you go and track your own priests, because your priests are even more dangerous, even more bribed. Why don't you go and see if the money or the cash or the offering in the Pashupatinath or the Buddha stupa or any other monasteries or religious structures or your religious places are being utilized wisely, instead of just coming and blaming the church or blaming Islamist community or like some sort of like this. They actually do not have any answer to these questions, because all they have been taught is to persecute Christians. If a Western nation start embracing this religion, just understand you will not march forward. It's always about traditions and customs. There is no reformation in it. By yoga, you're not going to have a great arms. You're not going to have a great biceps. You need to go to gym. Or if you want to balance yourself, you need to do both gym and an yoga, or do some sort of athletic exercises. I don't see Cristiano Ronaldo doing some sort of yoga. If he starts doing some sort of yoga, maybe he will start running very less. So if you're an athlete, yoga is not better for you. Simple. Just get close. But I don't think so. If you adopt this religion, I don't think so your country or yourself is going to march forward. because all you learn is to dominate others. All you learn is to apply that Brahminism in your society. What has happened in the Hare Krishna Hare movement is that there are some white people now, they claim as if they are Brahmins, which to me is very surprising thing. How can a person of an ethnic group actually can change an ethnic group? Surprising thing, you can never change an ethnic group. You can never change your race. It's by birth thing. But a religion is something that we can adapt. Spirituality is something that we can adapt. It's not about when I was born I become a Hindu. It's not like when I come out of my womb, when I come out of the mother's womb, it's not like I become a Christian. It's not like that. It's all about my choice. It's all about my decision. It's all about my understanding. That it's very simple, and most of the Western people, they have understood this, but it's really, really hard for the person who is Hindu here in Nepal and India to make them understand. So thank you so much for watching this channel. I hope you really understood what I was trying to communicate. If this is the first time, please subscribe this channel, like it and share it. And if you have any comments and suggestions, please comment in the comment section down below. Until then, Jai Misi, have a nice day. Jai Misi is a Nepali Christian greeting.